Welcome. Getting your first job in IT is not exactly easy right now. That's why I thought you might appreciate my perspective on this because I recently officially became a machine learning engineer, just as I planned. And there are quite a few things that I learned that were surprising that would be beneficial to me if I knew them earlier. So I want to share them with you, but before I do that, I want to share the whole story so you know the background, my aim, my plan, and how this all unfolded. And this is not gonna be a video of type that that I list technologies that you have to learn. To get a job, you have to know this and know this and know this. No, it's more like I mostly propagate the vibes, the mindset, the approach, the big picture, because the details don't really matter. Like the details depend on who you are, what are your strengths and weaknesses, what exactly is the role you want to go for. So I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about like overall, just like you're my friend. I'm just sharing my story. We're chilling here, no pressure. So we're doing this. I finished my computer engineering degree last year in February. It's an engineering degree, it's not master's. I didn't want to do my master's. I hated uni, I hated attending classes, I wanted to respect my time. If I watched my videos from this period, then you know that I was skipping classes as much as I could. It was just terrible for me. I mean, I don't regret going to uni because when I was studying it, I didn't know exactly what I want to commit to, and now I know. Now I know my career path. I know what I'm good at. I already invested a lot in AI and machine learning, so I knew what I wanted to study, and I wanted to study it. I didn't need classes for it and lectures and presentations and attendance checklist and stuff like this. So I was like, screw the whole thing, let's study for a year. That was my plan since the beginning. Of course, it would be ideal if I could start working immediately after finishing the diploma. But I knew it's not realistic. The chances were really slim. I regret not applying to jobs earlier, but still, I was like, okay, they don't hire juniors, they don't take risks on you, they don't do internships that much. So to actually get my dream position, I need to get skills, I need to study. That was my plan ever since the beginning. Even though I could apply, maybe I could get lucky. Who knows? But I didn't want to take the job just for the sake of it, just because I need money and I'm desperate something. No, I had the privilege to actually take my time and learn and study, build my portfolio. So I'm kind of grateful for this, that I could do it. I potentially could get some job, but I really cared about machine learning. I wanted to gather experience in this area because this is my chosen path in life. So I really cared about this. And I knew that they don't hire juniors that much, they don't do internships. So I just needed skills. So I focused on skills. So I sat down for a year. I built my portfolio. I even made videos from my projects. So you can partially see it. I mean, it's not all projects, but it's a good chunk of what I learned. I pretty much went through the whole all blog posts of Andrei Karpathy, which was amazing. I went through the whole like blog of DeepMind and read all the interesting papers. I read two reinforcement learning books. Machine learning just became my life for a year. Like I was watching podcasts, thinking about it a lot, reading books, papers, articles, all this stuff. It was a wild year. And at the end, I made my own Dreamer V3 implementation that I also made a video about. And this project took me 6 months. It was ridiculous. It tested my indomitable human spirit. It tested my patience. It tested everything. But I learned a lot, of course. So I finished that in March. And since then, I started seriously applying to jobs. And it took me 3 months to start working. So now we're here. I'm happy with the position. I work in a tangible industry, in research and development team, which is kind of ideal. They said they hired me for out of the box thinking and commitment to unconventional ideas. I was like, come on. I mean, come on. It totally sounds like they hired the right person. So I'm happy with how this unfolded because taking a year off is not always smooth sailing and it's risky.
And then I took a year off. And in that year, which is hard to do, it's really hard to do in Silicon Valley because, like, in a place where social status is determined by your job and what you're working on, like when you show up at a party and someone says, "Oh, what are you working on?" and you're like, "I'm kind of just taking the year off." Like, you can sort of see in real time their eyes like look for someone else in the room to talk to. It doesn't feel that good. But it's an incredibly privileged thing to be able to do this. But if you are in the position between jobs where you can take a year off, I highly recommend it. I think it was like one of the 2 or 3 best career things that I ever did.
And I feel that. I mean, it's kind of a privilege that I even could not work, that I even had the option to take a year off. But ultimately, you meet people and you're like, yeah, I don't go to uni, I don't work. It gives off loser vibes, like automatically. But it was necessary to follow my path, to do what I want to do. I had to do it. So I'm telling you that many great people embark on these freedom pill, the grind periods, but remember about the risk. And the risk is that winners and geniuses almost always look like losers and idiots while they're still building. And this also applies to other things because before everyone sees the results, you look like a weirdo because you don't follow the conventional path. And obviously, you cannot follow the conventional path if you want to have extraordinary results. Because if you follow the ordinary path, you will end up ordinary, like most people. And so that's how it is. That's why you have to just ignore the whole thing and follow your path. Anyway, I told you the whole story. My loser arc was quite a success. It sounds funny. But now I want to get to the things that we can all learn from this experience because it was a tough position to be in. I didn't have some fancy contacts. I had none of these. I also had no experience in the industry, which was a big obstacle. Like, they rejected me a few times. Even though I had the skills, I was just like unproven. I didn't have official experience. So it wasn't an easy position, but I learned a lot because of it. So listen up. The first thing I want to talk about is about respect. Because someone has to say it, you matter. I mean, I'm biased because you're my viewer, you matter especially as my viewer, but you matter overall also. And now, I mean, when applicants are at a disadvantage, there's a record high number of ways you can get humiliated or like disrespected and slapped in the face because it always happens. Like applying to jobs is always terrible because you fill out the forms. It all takes so much time and you constantly fill out the same information. Like I have all my basic info in my CV and I still have to write in my education. I have to pick my skills and all this stuff. Like even my name and surname. Like what is their problem? So that I expected. I knew about this. But there are new things that surprised me, and these are AI interviews or like online tests and all these automated ways to filter out candidates because there are so many candidates they have to filter them somehow, but they do it in a way, just companies don't exactly know what they're doing. Many of the tools that these companies use to filter out candidates are not optimal for both sides. Like they straight up suck. The first time I encountered this was I applied somewhere and I got an invitation to a 2.5 hour online test interview thingy. I was like, wait, okay, I opened it just out of curiosity, and it was like solid, hard, demanding programming task for 2.5 hours. I was like, no, no. If if I saw the commitment from them, if I saw the investment, I saw that they like me, I can even spend more than this, but not when this is the first step, because I know, like I knew immediately that it's not like they looked into my CV and they were like, oh, this guy is a good fit, let's get him further. Let's give him the test. No, because the cost of the test is so small, it's so little. They can send out the test to anyone. It feels like a new way of just wasting time applying to these jobs. I'm not doing the test, and I didn't do it. Another time, I got an AI interview with like an voice AI agent asking me questions to tell me about the experience I had in the past with this technology. I was like, no, I'm not gonna talk to a bot. But then I started doubting myself. Like, what if I should take the interview because that's what the market is right now? You know, the longer you apply to jobs, the more you lose your hope, and you're like slightly like more desperate. Like, okay, maybe I will take the interview. But it was a good call ultimately, because then I got an interview, just a random invitation to 1 hour online test. I was like, okay, 1 hour, it's not that bad. Of course, when I open the test, it's 1 hour, 20 minutes. It's like, dude, okay, fair treatment and honesty is just unheard of. But it's fine. 1 hour, 20 minutes, I still did it. And, you know, I focused, I sat down. It was quite demanding. It wasn't just like super easy. It was demanding. And the passing grade was 80%. I got 90. But I was like, okay, I invested the time. I showed my skills. Okay, what's next? So they sent me a form. Like, of course, they almost right away they sent me an email. You passed. Congrats. We'll contact you with the next steps. Then I waited like a week because there were some holidays, and then they sent me a form, like a Google form, whatever, about my experience with some technologies. And the form was like 5 questions. I mean, there were like multiple pages, but one page was, for example, 5 questions about one library only, but like different functions from the library. Just like, did you use tool one from this library? Did you use this? I'm like, what? I haven't used the library, so no. Then I used something else, and I filled out the form. I was like, okay, fine. And then, like few days later, they reject me because I didn't have experience with these technologies. I feel the anger even now. The problem is not with their tools of choice. The problem is that they actually disrespect you. They don't care about you. That's the problem. Give me the form before I do the test. Did they even look at my CV that I don't have experience with this library? If that's a deal breaker for them, then don't even invite me to the test. You know? Like, this is what I want you to be cautious about, that you need to match their level of investment. Like, you have to have basic self-respect. The company I got hired in, first of all, delegated a human to invite me to the interview, which is not obvious nowadays, which is nice. But then I show up to the interview, and there are 5 other guys on the call. I'm like, I was shocked. I mean, it was unnecessary. Like, it didn't have to be this much. Like, two of them didn't even say a word except greeting me. So they were all just there to like listen in. But still, they delegated a time of 5 team members, and it was obvious that they treat my recruitment serious. Like, they're serious. They respect me. I respect them. Like, the process was amazing. And what is more is that I invested a lot of time into these guys because I showed how seriously they treat me. I ended up having like 3 meetings with them. First was just talking, introduction about myself. Second was theoretical test. They were asking questions, I was answering them, showing them what I know. And then for the last meeting, they gave me a week to do a practical task. And it wasn't 2.5 hours that I was complaining about earlier, that I have to do solid few hours of work. No, this task, like I invested, like it was a whole day of doing the work, but then they wanted me to present the solution to, so I ended up like making a diagram and a presentation. Like it took me like 3 evenings, let's say, or something like this. But it was much more than 2.5 hours that I was complaining about earlier. But I saw how serious they are, and I was fine with it, and I got the job, so it was a good call. I also had another interview for Samsung. I can say it because it didn't work. Um, Samsung was also amazing. They really respected me. Like 2 days after I sent the application, 2 days only, they give me a call. No, whatever. It was either a call or an email, but it was just straight up interview invitation. We didn't have any screening call that companies usually do. I just straight up got invited to their office for 2.5 hour meeting that will have both like HR, like personality test and technical test. So it was whole recruitment process in one meeting, and they just invited me. And this just shows me basic respect compared to companies that invite me to AI interviews that nobody ever sees because I never get passed through the freaking algorithm or whatever. I show up, beautiful office. They ask me whether I want anything to drink. I ask for a tea. Then they like throughout the interview they constantly ask me whether I want like Coca-Cola or Red Bull or anything I wanted. I'm like, whoa, okay, relax. I should have taken it. I didn't because I'm not the type of guy. I'm just like, no, it's fine, just water maybe. So that was nice, and that was a funny situation, which wasn't standard, but it happened to me that I mean they were really nice and everything, but during the interview, one guy comes in and asks my interviewer what does she want for lunch because they were ordering food. So she said something, he left, but then she was like, wait, can you order the food for our guest here? I was like, oh, what? So there was like a small chance of me eating lunch with the team. It didn't work because they finished earlier, but I just took home food that they gave me, and it was really good. But like they fed me, they were really nice to me. They invited me to the office. Like I cannot ask for anything more, but I'm willing to invest in companies that respect me, and you have to be careful about it as well. There's a lot of ways to get slapped in the face while applying to jobs, and it would be nice if we just didn't reward this behavior as a society. And there's a lot of like also bad companies, but some can say that this comes from a place of privilege in a sense because maybe someone is in a tough like financial situation and they don't really have the choice and they just apply anywhere. But there are bad companies. There are bad companies. Like I had game development experience, and so I was looking at game dev jobs as well. And most of the job offers that I saw in game dev are for like scammy, addictive gambling games for children. It's all just so bad. I mean, mobile game industry is just like it's just terrible. So the first umbrella lesson that I wanted to convey here is that so many companies will try to take advantage of you, and you have to just not let them. You have to be careful. You have to reverse engineer their methods, and don't let scammers win. That's an advice even for life, for everyday life. Don't let scammers win. And the second big lesson that I got is that it takes time. But what takes time? Everything takes time. Everything takes more time than you expect it to. First of all, you have to have a CV. And preparing the CV takes time, but not like just making it. Iterating on it takes time. It took me a few tries to figure out what do companies even look for and how to sell myself, even how to sell my skills. And you need experience in this. So you prepare a CV, then you send it out to see how the companies react. If the response rate is really low, then you should probably tweak your CV before applying to the best jobs, because usually, I mean, in many for many companies, if you send out their CV, then their system will block your further attempts. You cannot just like, improve your CV later. So you need to get a feel for this. You need to get experience how to sell yourself, and it takes time. For example, in Samsung, the lady told me that she invited me to the interview because I had in my CV that I experiment with machine learning. That's the line that got them, because they need someone that experiments with machine learning, that plays around and does stuff. So that's how I know that my CV worked well. But it wasn't my first attempt. No, it was like third iteration, something like this. I wanted to sell myself well. And it's like a micro lesson in this, that your CV will be read by people that are not technical. The lady wasn't technical, and she picks me. And for many companies, it also works like this, that you have to sell yourself well. Like your experiences, your amazing projects are not fully enough. It's always either some AI scanning for keywords or an HR lady reading it. For a different company, they called me. She also wasn't technical. She was just like, "Oh, you look good, you look passionate and everything." Like she had no idea about none of the technical stuff, but they invite me to the interview based on this. So you have to be really aware of this, that you have to sell yourself well for like a normal person, for a normie pretty much. Your CV has to look good to a normie. Like a normie, when they're reading your CV, has to go, "Wow, that would be such a good fit for our company," even though they have no idea about any of the work that you actually do. Okay, so CV takes time, but it also takes time for the good job offers to appear. Like, I live in a decently sized city, like nearly a million population, and there was only like a handful, like really a few really good positions that really fit my skill set. Um, I made the research also for the purpose of this video, and right now there are 129 job offers in AI ML section on one of the biggest job boards. And of these 129 job offers, there's 0 junior positions and 0 internships, right? So if you're inexperienced, like I was, maybe still am, then you don't have really a choice. So the companies that are ready to take slight risk, but they see your talents, and despite the inexperience, they want to take a risk on you or invest in you. Like, the companies exist. They're in a minority, first of all, and also because everyone wants these positions, the job offers are quite rare. So it's not easy to just like jump in on the market and apply everywhere and get your dream position. You kind of have to, like, it takes time. Like, you have to just scout it. The registration process also takes some weeks, so it's smart to spread your job search in time, because the chance that your dream job offer exists this very instant is quite small. Like, you have to just like let's say the number of job offers is like more or less constant. You cannot just like suddenly apply everywhere and hope to find a really good position. You have to just like you know be present on the market for some time. It takes patience, but the patience will be rewarded. So I'm telling you, it's better to spend an evening once a week than to spend the whole week, applying everywhere. I mean, unless you look for any job, like any internship, because you don't really care about like what direction you're going in. But if you're hunting for a specific thing because you want to start a career there, then it's gonna take some time, and you have to be prepared that everything will be taking time. Then the recruitment process will take time, but then they will reject you. For the Samsung, I was so certain that I will get a job because I aced the process. I aced everything. My skills were higher than their expectations. But I didn't get the job. And in the period, in 3 weeks period, I didn't apply anywhere because I was just like, my goodness, like I aced it. But they didn't take me, quoting a lack of proven official experience, even though they liked me and I had the skills. They took, I guess, someone more, someone less risky. So recruitment processes take time, and there is no guarantee that you'll get the job. So you have to just do your thing and keep applying until you get the job. Then even after you get admitted, it will take time to start working. You have to sign the contract and all that stuff. So it's not the food industry when you get hired the next day and you start working before you even sign the contract. This is IT, so it has its own pace. So these were my 2 main lessons: don't get played and prepare for the long-term game, which are kind of like rules also for life. I that's what I do. I seek universal patterns and try to win the game. There are some minor things that I could talk about, but you can probably find them anywhere else. Like, you gotta sell yourself as a guy who knows what he's doing. That's it. You need to look solid. You need to have the portfolio. So they look at you, especially the HR people, and they look at you and they see someone that can do things. Because companies are not willing to take risks right now, you need to paint yourself as the guy who is solid, who knows his stuff, who can do things. Even when you're inexperienced, you should emphasize what you can do, like the skills you have. Because playing on like being eager to learn and all this stuff probably is not working too great right now. And lastly, don't give up. It will work eventually. The safest thing you can do is to set your life in a way that you're never fully desperate. Like, you always have some options. You apply for jobs, you do stuff in the meantime. Don't make applying for jobs like your whole life. Don't spend the whole day on it. Like what I said, one evening a week is perfectly sufficient, because the job offers, they don't disappear after a few days. Like, the companies take their time to go through the interviews and everything. So take your time to play it well. The ultimate cheat code that we all know about is just having contacts and friends that can get you positions and inside info and recommendations and all this stuff. It's not really my way. I'm like a lone wolf kind of guy, but it totally works. For some stuff, it's even necessary. But it couldn't be me. Like, if I want to get into a really just top of the world position, it would be through building my own reputation. That they themselves want me. But that's just like my quirks. Also, the ultimate cheat code is just having a YouTube channel. Like this channel is my portfolio. I can literally link the whole channel, and that I have tutorials. I am legitimately interested in machine learning. It's not like I picked a hobby and something. Like, I'm really invested into everything. I put my face out there. I'm reliable. I'm just more like legitimate, or I don't know how to call it. I'm accountable and responsible. Like, I'm less of a mystery box for these companies because I put myself out there. I guess, right? I have no idea really. I assume it has some influence on my hiring opportunities, but I cannot really count on these HR people to really check my portfolio and who I am. For example, people at Samsung were really nice, but the lady that invited me, like, she wasn't fully aware that I'm not currently working, that I was working 3 years ago doing an internship, but I'm not currently working. And it's like, it's straight up in my CV, you can just read it. But they have so many candidates that they don't really pay that much attention to individual people. So I guess I don't know how much the details matter, but I just play my own game. I do what I want to do. and somehow it works. I got hired. So, best of luck and thanks for watching.